Hello, everyone! My name is Morgan, and we are joined by a special guest. Her name is Emma. She's awesome. She's one of my friends, and she's an SCG grinder, so she's way better at magic than I am. Emma,
Uh,
hi!
Hi. I
Uh,
don't really know if I'm better at Magic than you are, but I do go to more Star City tournaments, so there is that.
sure is. Alright, so we're gonna hop into an Eternal Masters Phantom Draft, unless it actually is shorter to do a 6-2-2-2, because I also have packs for that. So, whichever one fires first is basically how it's gonna go. Emma, you have had some experience drafting Eternal Masters, is that right?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm like 4 or 5 drafts deep now.
Do you have any favorite archetypes?
I just like killing people, so core Hook Master is quickly becoming my favorite card.
All right. Have you gotten a chance to draft any of the like headlining archetypes like Burning Vengeance at all?
I really want to draft Burning Vengeance, but I haven't gotten to yet.
Oh
That's
man.
my significant other's like favorite thing is back archetype. But and I haven't got to draft the Aristocrats deck yet, but that's probably like the coolest thing in my mind is like
Yeah.
the autocrat and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I like how they included the Autocrat in the Aristocrats deck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of that flavor win. Also, the both of those decks I've noticed have like one key card. For the aristocrats, it's probably Blood Artist,
Yeah.
because like you just can't have a bunch of little dudes running around without getting value off of them. And then the Burning Vengeance deck is of course Burning Vengeance. Playing Burning Vengeance without having drawn your Burning Vengeance is kind of miserable, I've
Yeah.
found.
Yeah, you just like deck yourself. You just end up with like 10 cards in deck and you haven't drawn Burning Vengeance and you're like, I can't flash back 10 spells before I die.
I think it was Sam Black who did an Eternal Masters draft where he drafted Burning Vengeance and then sideboarded into like a 60 card deck or something. It was great. It was very indicative of the way that Burning Vengeance works in this format. Where, yeah, half of the effects are looting, but if you have a Flame Jab, which goes pretty late, like, you get a lot of utility suddenly.
Yeah, didn't he end up winning one of his games with like a Desperate Ravings like on
Yeah,
the
on the stack! That was great!
It was like 2 of those were on the stack, but he only had like 3 cards in deck. But the vengeance trigger killed his opponent.
Yeah, that was so awesome. So, um, we'll hopefully get started here in just a minute. Emma, are you going to Dallas Fort Worth this weekend?
Yes.
Care to give a brief rundown of what you're playing already?
Right now I'm leaning towards just some sort of 50% deck. I don't really know which version. It might end up being Jund. It might end up being like a Kiki Chord variant. It might be the Eldrazi deck that Todd Stevens has been championing. I played that at Grand Prix Charlotte and thought it was pretty good.
Uh, yeah, I saw you were playing that kind of a heartbreaking loss to Infect, although, like, Infect generally always has it. Um, I thought it was heartbreaking, but that's just me as a spectator.
It felt pretty bad, but it is what it is.
Yeah. The Eldrazi deck looks kind of fun, and I don't think that the banning of Ayavugan has taken that much away from it.
No, I think it just went from like tier 0 to this deck can fairly function among other tier 1 decks.
One of the funniest things I think about the deck is it plays Birds of Paradise, which is like super cute because it's just like a band deck with birds and like Path, and then oh yeah, BTW. We're also doing some of the most busted things that we can in the format.
Hmm. There are a lot of games. One of my favorite things about the deck, I always joke with my friends about this, is the deck signals very differently early on.
Hmm.
So there was a game against Jund where I go turn 1 Temple Garden, Noble Hierarch, and they bolt it. And I go turn 2 Windswept Teeth, Bird, Pass. And then they go Inquisition of Kozilek, and I just reveal like Reality Smasher, Thought Not Seer lands. And oh, is that what's going on?
This is great.
And I got turned to by Infect after going Forest, Ancient Stirring, Spellskite. So they thought I was on Tron.
That's fantastic. Well, I was thinking about it yesterday, and I drafted Shadows over Innistrad, which I haven't drafted in a while, which is means that like putting up a Shadows over Innistrad video is going to be kind of a pain because I'm not going to be very good at it. But I forced Rug in my last Shadows over Innistrad draft,
Hmm.
and I realized it was just because I like the color combination, like the actual hues. It was just a very pretty deck. I have to say that it was not good. I did not win anything, but the deck was gorgeous. Uh,
You'll have to keep me online when we do this because I have a bad habit of just taking removal way too much.
I think you can actually get away with that in this format, especially if it's like the red removal,
The red removal's great.
because the red removal can go to the face. That's what I like about it. What are
Is it
people
a game?
doing?
Hmm.
What are people doing? There's like nobody in these queues. So we're gonna keep an eye on this one because it might fire faster.
Oh,
Um,
two you did.
nope, nope. That's the Shadows over Innistrad. Never mind.
Oh,
This is this one.
sorry, I just saw you were mousing over.
Yeah. Um.
I had
Well,
a really fun Shadows draft. That was like maybe my favorite draft deck I've ever had. It was just a Grixis removal deck, but it had Fevered Visions, and it was like kind of madness. But I ended up playing 47 cards because I didn't think I could kill them and thought I would have to deck them out the hard way. And ended up being true. I won like 4 games with 2 cards left in deck, in them milling. I just had like pour over the pages and was afraid I would kill myself if I had 40 cards.
yeah, I think that that's happened a lot more recently than I expected to. Even in this format, like even when I'm not playing the Desperate Ravings like Faithless Looting deck, I get a little worried about it sometimes because like I was playing a Reanimator deck and I'm like, well, I have to either kill you or like put you in a position to where you want to concede because I'm not sure attacking with this Inkwell Leviathan's actually going to get it done.
Yep. Okay, well, I really need a blocker, but I don't know if I win this race. But Inkwell Leviathan's scary. We
Yeah,
quit.
definitely. I definitely had that happen where my opponent conceded before considering that I might not be able to actually finish them off. So, yeah. Oh my goodness, people are leaving. No, you're not allowed to do that. All right, so I'm gonna share a story of my favorite moment from Eternal Masters draft so far. This is in the finals of an 8-4 because I joined an 8-4 for some unknown reason. Uh, and I had drafted red green aggro, which is actually one of my favorite color combinations in this format just because like there's so many hasty creatures that you can win out of nowhere often. And also Matthias showed me a deck that was like Faithless Looting, Roar of the Worm, Werebears, and it was so sweet. But I wanted to do that. I didn't get any Faithless Lootings though. But game three, against a blue-black control player, uh, I was on the play, so I played a land, passed. They played an island, passed, and I played Mogwar Marshal. And I was like, okay, so if they play another island to represent Counterspell, I'll just pay the Echo, whatever. And I was like thinking about that, and then they tanked for a second, and then passed the turn back without playing a land or anything. They just moved to discard.
Ugh.
And they discarded a Vizara the Dreadful. And I'm
Uh,
like,
uh,
oh, I know what's going on. Unfortunately for my opponent, I had been eyeing up a Sting Scourger in my hand not a minute before, thinking, "Wow, this card's kind of useful in this matchup." And it turned out, or useless rather, and it turned out, indeed, there was a bit of a blowout that occurred on turn four when I was like, okay, creature, Sting Scourger, your Vizara, attack. It was pretty good. Because they immediately, like, animate deaded it.
uh,
Alright, we've got just a wealth of good ones here. Um, Things that stand out, Beetleback Chief. I like Giant Soul Fuge a little bit too. Like, people are a little hesitant to block it, Pacifism's good. Silent Departure is good. Warden of Evo Style's kind of cool, and Brawn is also pretty good. What do you like here, Emma?
I really like the Beetleback Chief. We had talked about the Aristocrats deck before and my tendency to like attacking people, and it's very good at both of those things. I also am a bit biased. I really like Phyrexian Gargantuan. Like a 4/4, I think is pretty reasonable, and the Sign in Blood is cool.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not huge on Captain Tickles here. The giant Solifuel.
Oh,
You
okay.
just a lot of like there are a lot of 1/1 tokens going around, and there are a lot of situations where you're afraid of them like just calling your bluff. If you just attack with it, they block with like an elemental token, a goblin token, or even just the what's the turtle's name? The 1/4
Oh
turtle.
yeah, yeah, that guy.
You just end up like trading your 4 drop for like a token or a 2 drop.
All right. Well, if you like tokens, what do you think of Raise the Alarm?
Great. That card is fantastic. Let's see. Have you had good experiences with the Centaur Chieftain?
No, but I
No.
haven't drafted a Focus Threshold deck yet.
Mhm.
It's mostly like uh my werebears are like my worst two drops.
I think I'm inclined to take the Mog Fanatic here because it's the last red card in the pack, and it's also just like a pretty reasonable card. I also part of me kind of thinks one of the Raise the Alarms or the Pacifism might table.
Okay, I like the idea of staying open. That's fine.
Yeah. Hmm. It's tough because like Mog Fanatic honestly isn't like amazingly overpowered or anything.
I like taking Raise the Alarm because Rally the Peasants is in this format too.
That's true, actually.
Uh,
You know what? I like your idea. Let's do the Raise the Alarm.
all right, I took the foil one.
Yes, perfect.
Oh man, we've got so many pacifisms. All right, so here's an autocrat, which does go in um the what's it? The deck that you
Aristocrat.
were suggesting, aristocrats. However, there's a glimmer point stag as well. I undervalue pacifism quite a bit, but I think like I think that taking creatures is a little bit better, especially in the Beetleback Chief deck.
Yeah, it's definitely a sum of your parts deck, and you can't always rely on just your overall card quality to be very good.
Hmm.
So I think it's pretty reasonable to worry more about picking creatures wherein you need like 3 or 4 creature-ish cards for your cards to do anything.
I like
Um,
Glimmer Point Stag. It synergizes with Beetleback Chief, and like hopefully we'll get a couple Rift Watchers or something.
that's true. I think it's between Stag and Pacifism. That leads me to take the uncommon here that can attack over the Pacifism.
All right, cool. Well, so here's where me, being an unrepentant blue mage, looks at this fact or fiction and is like, "Oh my gosh, blue is open." But there's also like Avarax, Benevolent Bodyguard is kind of cool in the uh,
Uh,
the deck as well.
yeah, honestly, I'm not too stoked about Avarax, even though I kind of like if you start taking them early, it can like run away with something. Carrion Feeder is really good in the Aristocrats deck we had mentioned.
We could just take the Carrion Feeder.
I feel like if we're going in on a new color, though, like I almost just want to just pick up Fact or Fiction.
Okay.
It's great. I kind of like lean with you on like liking blue cards, but hmm.
I kind of we're running out of time, but I kind of like Factor Fiction just because it's like certainly the strongest card in that pack,
Mm-hmm.
just by a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and it looks like we're kind of getting cut on red for sure,
Don't have red at all anymore.
and white also to a degree. There's a shelter, I guess. So we've got like Werebear stands out to me, and Una's Grace. Like those are both like fine in Factor Fiction decks. I like Mindless Automaton quite a bit because I think it's like just the dirtiest thing and it's great.
I'm a big fan of Mindless Automaton. Let me think. Is that the one? Yeah, 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 yeah. Part of me just wants to get greedy with it and try to like do tricks with it in Glimmer Point Stag, but
5 seconds.
Una's Grace.
All right. We could have. Ooh. All right. I like Coalition Honor Guard quite a bit. There's also Memory Lapse. There's an Eye Blights ending here too, and Squadron Hawk. Um,
For me, it's between the two Force Spell Skype and the Eyeblight ending.
yeah. I kind of like Coalition Honor Guard because Glimmerpoint Stag is so powerful that I'm still really inclined to want to play it.
Hmm.
Um, Eye Blights ending is like a pretty good removal spell though, and we might not be able to depend on like wheeling any of the pacifisms. I kind of like taking Coalition Honor Guard though, because if our opponents are playing pacifisms, this card is very good.
That's true, actually. As many of those as we passed, might want to move in on that card.
Yeah. All right. So we've got braids. There's also Elite Vanguard, which attacks quite effectively, but I'm not like sometimes I'll just put it in my blue-white decks as a blocker. Relic of Progenitus hoses certain strats, and then there's like Night's Whisper as well. I don't think we're really well set up for braids anymore.
Mm-mm. No, it's really bad to think back to like the Autocrat, the Carrion Feeder, and now the
Yeah.
braids we could have had. But I don't know. This one's not
I,
great
I,
for us. Hmm.
I kind of like taking the wall.
Yeah.
We could build a wall.
Yeah. Let's just do the wall.
All right, let's build a wall. Ooh, all right. I'm a big fan of Mishra's Factory.
We're on factory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Mishra's Factory, for those of you who don't know, attacks as a 2/2 but blocks as a 3/3 because you can animate it, block, and then activate its ability targeting itself.
Hmm.
Which a lot of people don't know. I don't think people respect this card nearly as much as they should.
No, I think that card's great because in everything, and it's basically a free spell. Yeah. um.
3-color Mishra's Factory deck, go!
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean,
Like,
uh,
what are our other options?
like
Like
we could
maybe
take
like a.
Squad Hawk, but I
Oh,
kind of like taking Gargantua.
yeah. I think if we're just gonna go full greed control deck, we go full greed control.
Ooh, so we've got Twisted Abomination, the Raise the Alarm Wield, although we're kind of off that plan, and Haunted of Night's Reach. I kind of like Twisted Abomination if we're going, like, the greed route.
I am 100% in on Twisted Abomination. It's mana fixing early and it's easy to cast late.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Ooh, okay. So there's a
Oh,
Rift Watcher, which I like because it is great with Glimmerpoint Stag. There's also a Senger Autocrat, which we don't really have anything to go with right now.
I I'm kind of leaning towards the Autocrat or the Scoured Barons because I feel like if we're planning to go long, even Rift Watcher doesn't always fit into that.
I think there's. I took the Autocrat because
Oh,
we wield the Carrion Feeder.
oh yeah,
I knew
had
that
it.
was going to happen.
Knew it was coming.
There,
Oh man, if this braids wheels,
it might. People don't respect braids either. I'm a big fan of this mindless automaton
yeah.
guy.
See, that's why we took
Wasteland.
the Una's Grace before. We knew it'd wheel.
Alright, so Beetleback Chief probably not making the cut, although we could just cut all of the white and blue and like Splash Factor Fiction
Yeah,
and play like red.
and
Uh,
this is everywhere.
that's okay, that's okay. Well, we have Wake Dancer, which is really sweet in the Carrion Feeder deck.
Hmm.
Mana War is just a good card, and it's blue. I kind of. There's also like Carbonize, which really isn't like
Yeah,
too far off.
think I tend to lean towards Mana War here.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like Mana War. I'm a fan.
it's definitely between that and Wake Dancer. I think your initial evaluation was correct on that one.
Yeah, Wake Dancer is like really cool in the Carrion Feeder Synergy Autocrat deck, but I kind of like Mana War as like reach, and also I think that Wake Dancer is way more likely to wheel, especially since this pack is as strong as it is.
Mana War is also great against all the auras that'll pop up, especially Elephant Guide.
Oh yeah, mana warring a creature with an elephant guide or something like that on it is great.
Uh,
There's so
oh,
much red in this pack.
yeah. Um,
I like
hey,
taking Tragic Slip almost.
yeah, I'm between Tragic Slip and Wall of Omens
Oh
here.
yeah, there's a Wall of Omens in this pack too.
Um,
I do like Wall of Omens, especially if we're not like if we aren't able to go all in on these guys.
yeah, I feel like we're at this weird turn, this like crossroads almost, where this is where we really need to decide if we're going with a more control deck or if we're trying to make carrion feeder happen. Um, I think we're a lot more likely to get the control deck though.
Yeah, I agree. I think that like Carrion Feeder is a lot more focused and needs a lot more pieces. We were talking about um, Blood Artist earlier, and I think Wall of Omens helps a little bit more. So if we had stuck to our guns a little bit, we might have been able to make
Jeez.
this work.
Yeah, it feels like every other decision we've made has just gotten wrecked.
I like Silent Departure quite a bit. Like I think that's a reasonable pick. There's also
Yeah,
Night's Whisper.
I was about to say it's either Departure or Night's Whisper in my mind, but
We have a couple like good draw spells already, so I'm leaning towards the Silent Departure.
you're right. You're right, actually. I had totally forgotten about Una's Grace.
Una's Grace is great. I love that card. Uh, I like Gravedigger. I like
Yeah,
Gravedigger a
Gravedigger's.
lot.
I am all in on Gravedigger.
There's also a Scoured Barons and a Prowling Pangolin. Uh, I don't say this card correctly.
Nah, I'm not big on it.
I like the flavor text. Wait, are we the decoys?
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, it's so dark. I love it. Ooh, couple of good ones here.
Oof, man, can we just like take this pack and then just go to pack three?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay, so for those of you who uh, aren't quite sure what we're referring to, Torrent of Souls is kind of sweet with all of the graveyard interaction that we have. Um, Pilgrim's Eye is just mana fixing in this deck that probably desperately needs it. Urborg Uprising is also pretty sweet in a value-based deck, and of course, Pacifism is nice removal. So, what do you think, Emma?
I'm leaning between either Pacifism or Pilgrim's Eye. I think I think we do really need mana fixing. I'm leaning towards the Pilgrim's Eye.
We've passed so many pacifisms. That's okay though. We do our creatures aren't like really pacifiable.
Yeah, we don't have any like good one creature.
All right. Well, uh, I guess the person next to us did a great job of cutting red, or like because they're getting past the goods this round.
Mhm.
I like taking a Night's Whisper here over a second Una's Grace. I think that one Una's Grace is plenty, and like having action on turn two is nice.
Is Screeching Scab awful?
It's not awful. No, you're right.
I'm just thinking of like relevant bodies early.
That's
Uh,
that's a good call actually.
I think I like the Screeching Scab here. It's just a grizzly bear that might have upside because we have
Yeah.
Gravedigger and Una's Grace. Silent Departure.
I think the
I
life
think it's the
gain
Rift Watcher here.
on Rift Watcher is super relevant. It's just
Yeah.
like kind of ridiculous. What? What? Also,
So,
what? This card is also super good.
uh,
Um,
oh, that's
uh,
tough. Um,
I kind of like taking actually like the Honor Guard or the Charbelcher, so that we can move away from black if we need to.
yeah, I think I like the Belcher here. I've always been a big fan of Rod of Ruin.
Yeah. Me too, actually. So for those of you who don't know, Goblin Charge Belcher, pay 3, tap it, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a land card. Goblin Charge Belcher deals damage equal to, unfortunately, not the number of cards that you reveal this way, but the number of non-land cards revealed this way to target a creature or player. So it could deal 0, but it could also deal way more than that. If the revealed land card was a mountain, it deals double that damage instead. So we're not going to be able to do that, but we are going to be able to presumably do other things. I kind of like taking the white main line here over the
Yeah,
Wake Dancer, going along with like moving away from black a little bit.
yeah, we have Wall of Omens, we have the Scat. Yeah, when we have Glimmer Point. Yeah, I think I'm into that.
Um, what we I like taking Hydroblast It's a sweet sideboard card for sure.
Um, hmm. Yeah, that's probably it.
Like it's just like it's just so powerful.
You're
Um,
right.
what do you think of taking gnomes, or we could take Bloodfell Caves
Um,
or Monk Fanatic, I suppose. Taking gnomes will go in whatever deck we play.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I like the gnomes here.
Yeah.
3 is a bit, but
Jeez, this card
we
is so
just like
good.
I think we either hate the champion or the seismic stomp because I don't see us playing the 6/5.
I'm gonna hate this champion because that card is super good and I don't like it. Ooh, alright. Well, um,
Jeez.
I I kind of like taking Torrent of Souls here. It's got the highest upside of all these.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Um, what? This actually is nice because Torrent of Souls,
Yep.
return up to one target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield if black was spent on it. Creatures target player controls get +2/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. If red was spent on it, do both if both happened. So, yeah, this card's pretty good. Um, and now we have the incidental splash
Mhm.
um, for the haste part, anyway. Um,
How do you feel about Mana War here? Or counter? I don't like counterspell. We're tapping out a lot.
Yeah, I like Mana War a lot, especially since we have like the White Main Line Coalition or
Hmm.
Glimmerpoint Stag bits going on. I'm not sure about Sendure Autocrat, but I do like playing Twisted Abomination and Gravedigger for sure.
Censure Autocrat's pretty good with Torrent of Souls if that makes the cut.
No, it doesn't actually, because the creatures come into play after the Torrent of Souls
Oh,
can do
no, no, no.
creatures.
I'm saying the curve Autocrat into Torrent of Souls.
Oh yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah, I like taking Mana War.
That was actually how I learned about that, how the stack worked with Torrent of Souls, is I built a Reanimator deck where the point in Standard was to Torrent of Souls a Siege Gang Commander, and it did not do what I wanted it to. Oh, Vindicated is pretty good.
So
Uh,
here's our Blood Artist finally. There's also Calciderm. Vindicate is a great removal spell. If
hmm.
we wanted. Goodness, we got these packs all in the wrong order.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back and look at this video and just like, man, oh man, that braids.
Yeah. I like taking Vindicate or like any of these three cards basically are all
Yeah,
fine by me.
I'm on the Vindicate here. I think we're a little light on removal for a control deck.
Yep, I agree. Well, we've got a Silent Departure here, a Tragic Slip, or a Dismal Backwater. All are fine. Dismal Backwater being notable as mana fixing.
Yeah, I'm between the black or the backwater and the tragic slip here. We already have 2 Mana Wars and a silent departure, don't we? Yeah.
But that's
So
like still probably not enough. I like if we're thinking about taking the Tragic Slip and black is like our splash color, I'd prefer to take the Backwater.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with you.
Alright, we're gonna grab that one. This card is so good. I think we want one of these two guys though.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of where I was at. I really like both of those. Jeez. Hmm. I. Jeez. I'm leaning towards Phantom Monster, but no. Jeez. We have so much at the top. Not at the top, but in the middle and top. So being able to double spell is really huge.
Yeah, I like that as well, especially since you can like play it and then flashback Silent Departure.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I like the Peregrine Drake. Jeez, that's not easy.
Yeah, it's especially like when these two are pretty good finishers in a control deck. Uh,
Hmm.
it's a lot harder to figure that out. Okay, so we've got options again. There's another Coalition Honor Guard. There's a removal spell. Um, There's a Shoreline Ranger, which is nice because our mana is still a little bit iffy. There's also a Sprite Noble, which I think is just like too mid-rangey to be in the running with between these
Yeah.
three.
I think it's between Eyeblight Ending and Shoreline Ranger for me because I think we are at the point where we have enough like okay creatures and
Yeah.
we are a little soft on removal and fixing.
I like taking the Eye Blight's ending. I think that's like very good in this deck.
I agree.
Okay. Um, hey, buddy. There's also a Tranquil Cove, which would be nice, and a Victimize, which I'm a big fan of a Victimize. Uh, in this deck, it's not particularly exciting, but it's still pretty sweet.
Yeah,
Um,
the card. I don't know if we're. Hmm.
we're not like really well set up to take advantage of Victimize.
Yeah,
I kind of like taking Tranquil Cove at this point.
yeah. I think we're probably gonna have to take Tranquil Cove. Really want to take the monster, but well, like one more piece of mana fixing really bad,
Yeah.
and then we just don't have to worry about it anymore.
Alright, so we've got
I'd
another removal spell.
say- And another Gravedigger. No, why do they make us put us in these decisions?
I mean, our white is kind of like on the back burner at this point.
Oh yeah, I don't. I'm not worried about the Scour Barons. I just mean Annihilator, Gravedigger.
Yeah.
I love Gravedigger, but Annihilate's the call.
I think so too. I think Annihilate is redonkulous. Okay. So we've got like Memory Lapse, Hookmaster, and Autocrat.
I really like the Autocrat. Just chump blocking forever buys so much time.
Alright, I'm down. I kind of like taking Blightsoil Druid here because
Yeah,
if we look and like take out most of our white cards, um, like Blightsoil Druid is a 2-drop, which is nice, and it's accelerant into like all of our fours.
yeah. I agree with you. And we another cool thing is we can go like that on two and a tap land 3 drop on three.
Yep,
We
that.
have a million tap lands.
Yes, you're not wrong. Um, so we've got like Plague Witch, which is another 2-drop, White Main Lion, which we're I think moving away from a little bit.
I think
Nausea. What
I
were you
can get
saying?
him on Plague Witch. Like I feel like it's the most likely to end up seeing play in our deck. Not close.
What? Alright, so
Yeah.
we've got another Carrion Feeder.
Oh no, but we have Zealous Persecution.
Zealous Persecution is so good.
Uh, yeah. So the way I view it is like neither of those are particularly likely to make our deck, but we might board the Zealous Persecution, and the Zealous Persecution is more likely to destroy us.
Yes. Price of Progress actually seems like reasonable in this format in some sideboards. I'm just gonna take the
Yep.
Bloodfell Caves. This card is actually like obnoxious.
Scary. Yeah.
Alright, cool. Nobody's playing Undying Rage.
We have a board plan.
Yeah.
Double Bloodfell Caves, Pilgrim's Eye, Undying Rage.
Alright, so we kind of need to establish, because this draft went a little bit off the rails.
Only a little.
Only a little bit. So we've got 6 lands, so it's 32. I'm a big fan of just cutting our white entirely, or like this white column right here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I want to keep Vindicate, but I think cutting those and like maybe the Zealous Persecution is correct.
Yeah. I do like keeping in like the red splash though for
Oh
Torrent
yeah,
of
Torn.
Souls,
Yeah,
because
those are great.
we got double send your autocrat. So we're looking at cutting like 2 more cards. I think it might be like taking gnomes and carrion feeder.
Um,
It could
hmm.
also I'd also consider like glacial wall. Twisted abomination costs 2. Um, I like mindless automaton in this deck actually quite a bit.
Yeah, we have a lot of flashback cards to make use of it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Automaton a lot more when we had White Mean Lion and that
Glimmer
other
Point.
thing, Glimmer Point and Stag. Mm, all right.
Yes, we could consider cutting it as well. So if we want to turtle up, Glacial Wall is a good way to do it. Um, Carrion Feeder does have some synergy in this deck. Actually, we've got like Senator Autocrats. We can sacrifice a grave, like something to get it back with Gravedigger, um, stuff like that. But it's also a little bit weird. Feels like,
Yep.
especially since it can't block.
Yeah, we probably cut it. It not being able to block is really not great for us.
There's so wait, yeah, one cut. Um, Ticking Gnomes is kind of expensive for what it does, and that is be a 3/3 for 3.
Yeah, it is not particularly efficient for what it does. It's
Although,
like,
like, it does have utility.
yeah, exactly. Like that's kind of what gets it is that it's quote unquote fine. But I think we have enough like better than fine cards to like cut it.
Okay, yep, I'm down. So I keep trying to subtract 6 from 30 and getting 25. I, that's not how that works. Um, all right. All right. Do you think that just putting one planes in would be good?
Yeah, that way we can get it with Pilgrim's Eye,
Yep.
and we only have our one white spell. Um, let's see, we have the two Tranquil Coves,
We
or
have
did we
we
have?
have one Tranquil Coves, we have two Bloodfell Caves, a Swiftwater Cliffs, and a Dismal Backwater. So we've got
Okay,
like
yeah,
a pretty even black blue split.
yeah, probably need the one plains in that case. For some reason, I was thinking we had one more white gain life land.
I wish. So I'm gonna add one plains, four islands, and five swamps, and that should actually even it out pretty well. Plus we've got Mishra's Factory, so like,
Yeah, it almost makes me want to like do an 18 land deck because we have Unis Grace and Mishra's Factory like kind of counts like as half a land because it's colorless in our 3.5 color deck.
we do have like a Blight Soil Druid, I guess. Does that count as an
Yeah,
18th land?
we have that in Pilgrim's Eye. It's good enough. We'll run it.
Alright, cool. So we're just gonna stop recording and I'll see you guys in round one.